original ideas in blues soloing anymore. They're all taken. Alright, so hey, here's our pentatonic overlaps and some just demonstrative stuff. I'm saying demonstrative and illustrative so much in this lesson, and it's tripping me out. Alright, new subject. So we're starting at our main blues box because it's the one we use so often. And, I know it's intuitive to use your pinky here, especially because I want you to do it on the bass string. The nature of the instrument is that we tend to be playing single note runs on the string, so there's a downside to doing this and then having to recover. I know we've already been over that, but just nuts and bolts wise. Yeah, so we're going comfy, 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 reach, reach. And, I know you already know this finger, and I'm playing it in rhythm because I'm already good at it. Totally just roll through it like a grocery list. And something you can add is go notes, 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 index ring bend, index ring bend, index ring bend. And I just did that on the 3 I strings only, strings 3, 2, and 1. And we talked about how this week you might spend 5 minutes of your life giving yourself a pop quiz on which string is called which number. So that you don't think of the A string as the second string. You could do it in 3 minutes, but if you never actually do it, you'll just keep it grouped like it is. So cozy 3 minutes, it's over forever. And obviously, what do I do other than just go? Point is, there we are. That's the type of, I did a million things, but that's just kind of a little bit more musical. I see why I'm actually doing this. As well as, it's a lot easier to advance up into pentatonic box too. And I'm actually going to talk about that one before we go back behind it. If we're going to talk about what people play in blues solos, it tends to be a disappointing amount of pentatonic 1. This BB King box up here that we're about to look at, we're calling pentatonic 2. And exactly those 2 notes back behind it. And I'll go back over what I was just doing. But yeah, so if I'm on those high strings in my main box and I'm on the second string and I slid 2 frets, that puts me smack in the right position to play these. And the cool part about the BB King box is that you can bend with your index or your ring finger. And when you're in, it's mostly just those 2 strings. The middle finger string on the 3rd string, it's just you can go, when we're bending in first position, this note is the one that's under our index finger now. So it makes sense that we would do index bends there when we're in pentatonic 2, just because we know that's a bend note. That sounds good. So we're in a very comfortable shape, and it gives us all kinds of stuff. So yeah, and just a reminder, you want your thumb parallel to the rest of your hand rather than off to the side, which is something that everybody's prone to doing as they move up the fretboard, is kind of doing that. That's what's making it feel correct to use your ring finger on low strings and stuff, is that your thumb's back there. So yeah, it's all kind of the same position. There would never be a downside to being exactly parallel to about your middle finger or in between your middle and index in every context ever. So just watch yourself for that. That's what's making it feel hard to reach. Cool. So overlaps wise, our main box is on top of 6 minor, So the thing you're doing to hammer home, I can do this or this, is going up 1, down the other. And I know you understand that. You want to do it in both orders, but I'm just going to focus on the pentatonics for right now and structurally where they lie. But that's what we're trying to crack open for you, is I can do this or that. I can do this economical single note thing, or I can dig into this blues any time I'm in this position in any key. So yeah, you'll be doing things like going up my major scale, and coming down in a blues box like that. And you want to be sure, if your brain groups it that way naturally, to do the converse, to go, I'm going up in the blues box, strong fingers coming down, just because I can do this or that. Alright, that's what we're going for. And that's why the up-down is a good exercise, just like our positional plan point for switching between keys was a good way to be able to start playing every key and every fret. Awesome. So our world we just discussed consists of main box 1 here with BB box out in front of it. pentatonic 2. That's the only one where we're just going to be like after the low strings. You can intellectually appreciate what they are, but that's just straight out of our fingering sound. We would do it that way anyway, so it's just kind of, and the other thing we talked about today was like, here's a C chord, and here's the top half of that C chord, and like that is exactly the same part of the fretboard. So anytime you've been doing those types of IDs in C, your main blues box is right back behind it all the time. So any of your like, you've got your blues box right behind it. Yeah, cool. And we talked a little bit, not to be too all over the place, about using pentatonic 1 and the area around it for major keys, an underused concept. Like if your friend's like, here's my new song, I'm just going like that song in C, throwing your pinky on C on the bass string and playing all those same phrasings, because C major is A minor, and it'll just end up sounding like rock. That's the first, most people like the first thing I learn for a major scale is just how to do this. And then if they're rock players, somebody shows them, oh, you just use your blues licks, but you just put your pinky there, or you start on the third, or whatever. Cool. So this part of the fretboard, we got our, and we'll look at how to play it in transition and stuff. That'll come organically. Hey, back behind the box on top of our, there's not really one directly atop to 5 Mixolydian, but there's 5 total pentatonic fingerings. We could say that pentatonic 5 of 5 / behind the box here is in our 4/5 diatonic area. And the main part that matters are just these 2 strings right there. How could that be? There's just so much. Like if you were going to map out, that's like what most guitarists figure out just from playing riffs after they just leave the letter out in the blues box, is okay, it works to go 2 frets up, and these 2 strings I see people using. But if we were going to do the whole thing, it's, and on your chord diagram this week, I circled this part, and so that's kind of what you'll find a lot of people do. While we're at it, C, here's the C chord, here's me playing C or A minor. That's what we're on the fretboard, it's not So right now I'm kind of doing hybridized major scale pentatonic riffs, so I'm going like, I'm going strong, going back in this thing. But yeah, so it's one you can go across all 6 strings on, but there we go. So we've got pentatonic behind is on top of the diatonic number 4, the Mixolydian. So our world's pentatonic 5 of 5, 1, 2. And then the part of the fretboard we found we really had to do a little actual correction on was your Dorian 2 fingering. And if we had to characterize this fingering, it heavily features pinky reaches, and it's got a lot of, every string goes index, ring, comma. Like I was, this is what you were doing, and we're just, when we got this info, it said 10th fret, so that means bink, 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 bink. And then it said 10, 12, 13, and there wasn't any reason to deviate from that yet. And then it said 10, 12, circled 14, then 12, circled 14. And then the high strings are all kind of easy. So yeah, and you want to actually reach for the pinky reach notes. It's like comfortable, comfortable, yuck, comfortable, yuck, comfortable, 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 comfortable. So rather than this heavily single note thing where you have to recover back here, there we go. That doesn't mean that you won't ever find some kind of way to transition from that up into the next one, but we'd like this index ring plus world where we're like, every single string actually contains, even if it sounds like shit to go, that's actually all in our Dorian fingering. It's like index ring, pinky, index ring, pinky, index ring, pinky, index ring, index ring, pinky. So yeah. And cool. So there we go. That just, probably that's the biggest thing to key on, is just getting better at that. And we talked about during the lesson today. And here's our A right there. There's not a good C in this one, just like there's not a good C in our Dorian fingering. It's like, here's C, here's where I am right now. And I just played pentatonic 1 and it sounded right because I started with C. You know, if I was like, I just did A minor first, now it sounded like the blues. Point is, this all works in C major and A minor. Awesome. So there's the only correction. And the pentatonic on top of that starts 3 in a row of these, really suggests like how we use this finger. It's like, very comfortable. And then there's one awkward note, and then it seems like you're pretty good on the high notes on this. When you get to the 2 high strings, you can always be doing like index ring bend, just as like an exercise, kind of like this is why I'm using this finger. But yeah, so it's like cozy, 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 yup, cozy, cozy, cozy. We talked about it in the lesson that I crossed out this note on your page, you know, for the same reason that we're kind of like whatever about those 2 strings. It's not that big of a bummer. It's a note that we get via pinky reach when we're playing our diatonic one, but either way, you know, you could find a lot of riffs that are just consistent of this and doing stuff down there. So there you go, we've got like that. And great, so lastly, we've got our A string box, which seems a little strange at this part of the fretboard. If you're having any, I want to use my ring fingeritis, it's that your thumb is trailing back, or what people tend to do is when they get to this fret, for some reason, move their thumb up into a weird different position than where you'd typically be. So what you want to do is just run out of real estate and just try not to make it any more of a big deal than it is. Like your thumb's going to run into a I have to stop here point, and then your hand can go another ½ inch or whatever past it. So playing like starting with the 15th fret should feel like it feels for you to start at the 12th fret now, because it's literally impossible to get there. And there you see the index, the thumb position, rather drag back thing that I mean playing out or forcing it to happen there. So that's, we're not really trying to play in that part of an acoustic guitar. So there you go, cool. You know, so there it is. Here's me, I'm just kind of normal positioning, but like, yeah, everybody does that. I guess it's like thumb up too high also, but then I want to have my thumb over the top. Just playing at the 12th string presents certain challenges, and getting pinky in there is one of them. But there we go. And this is the only fingering that we really have 2 different versions of. It starts with our same old blues box, which if you don't use your pinky, it doesn't really ring out as much. So there's that. Then there's the 4-finger version, where we do use our middle finger for this note right here. And that lets us, you know, and including using your pinky as well, you know. And that's going to be for, I'm going to do single notey types of things, you know, kind of playing like around a minor chord shape. And, you know, and that's cool, and there won't be a lot of this middle finger ring thing that you've been that's very intuitive and good deductive reasoning. The other way we're going to approach this is once we get past that note, just index ring through the whole thing so that we could, rather than trying to go like, or whatever. So yeah, it'll either go totally single note, obvious overlap with the diatonic fingering way, or you just kind of go index ring on all the high strings. So yeah, the thing is, it's either going to go middle pinky or an index ring. And it's exactly for sometimes I want to do things like this, or sometimes I'll just go out here and play those notes like it's no big deal, and I'm there we go, and a lot of people teach that as just one or the other, totally depends. While we're at it, pentatonic 1 has these 2 cozy strings back behind it. This one, our A string box, has 3 of them. From the previous fingering we were just talking about, pentatonic 3. So you get all this like, easy to picture transition sort of. You know, it's cool enough that there's 2 of them back here, and as you learn blues reasons, you'll see what I mean. But yeah, so you know, there it is. Or the short version is, we got our Dorian fingering with correction on it, with our, and we've got our, Phrygian fingering, which, I don't think you're tempted to use your ring finger there, aside from conceptually. So yeah, and that's right on top of this. So I can do this, or I can. So yeah, I would think of the pentatonic version where you're you're using weak fingers, and as a version of the diatonic phrasing, which is like. That's where we are on the fretboard, and it's all the exact same fingers we use. And then the other one is being a blues scale thing, where we just go index ring nuts, except for exactly here where we're saying don't go index ring. So there we are. And this is a good one to focus on, because like we talked about during the lesson, it cuts up the neck nicely. It's really easy to picture. Like I thought what we did during the lesson is I was like, what if we were at the 5th fret, playing like D minor, F major, I'm on the 5th string. What am I doing? I'm doing this. What am I actually doing right now? Yeah, good. Okay, good. That's it. I'm having a brain fart. Yeah, so that's just like if we were thinking about playing in that key. There's 10th fret pentatonic stuff, and then there's like kind of our run out of room. So we'll find ourselves playing that. We're part of the fretboard a lot. It's got this minor 7 chord screaming, I'm in this. And like the movable C chord, like under the bridge chord, also screams I'm in this, which is a 4-finger chord. Not like C7 movable. Yeah, exactly what you're doing now. Or if you've never played that fingering, it's a good. So that's where we are on the fretboard. And while we're at it, when we were back in our behind the box, just going one back, there's a C chord, and we're going very like featuring stuff from the chord. So just hey, here's a C chord, and here's a C chord. But we pretty much just said all the same shit we have been in different orders. So yeah, worst possible thing to do is get into too much noodling too quick. Just work on structure. Just up pentatonic, down diatonic, all 5 positions until it gets easy. I don't think that's going to be that time consuming. Then maybe go to your Dinosaur Jr. track and analyze it, being like, okay, so there he was in pentatonic 3, and then he went back to pentatonic. See if you can wrap your head around some of that stuff. He does throw in some diatonic notes, but I think, it's definitely like this is in this key song, so it should work. There you are. Okay, we got 17.